Welcome back. Welcome back. It's your girl, Unique Air. Once again, I have cut off my locks. My appearance, yes, is quite different. I have set myself free. It was the end of a journey. I had my locks for about 7 years. And yeah, I'll let y'all see. Got rid of the weight, got rid of the energies that came along with having it. You go through some things. I really feel like having locks is a spiritual journey. And when it's time to end that particular chapter of your life spiritual journey, it's time to do the big chop. And so I did that several days ago, and I am very happy with the results, and I'm just loving it. So yeah, thank you for joining me once again. And it has been, I think, about 2 weeks since I've been on, and I'm hoping I can get on my channel. You know how they do. They start finagling things when you start teaching and all of that, and you giving information that most people don't really lay out like that. They try to lock you out your account and all of that. And ever since Microsoft did some stuff to my laptop, I have not been able to get on my Unique Air channel on YouTube. But I'm going to have to figure it out after I do this reading. So today I'm going to go into the chapter on astral plane geography. Okay, so astral plane geography is going to explain what the astral plane looks like. It's just like if you are going to travel somewhere and a friend of yours tells you, oh, well, when you get there, you can expect to see this, or this is where you go if you want this, and this is how that's going to look. It's the same thing with the astral plane. Yes, there are many people who astral project. They get out of their bodies. They're not near death experiences. They just get out of their bodies because they know how to do it, and they go there. Now, is there a place or is it a vibration? Well, that's what I'm going to read to you. All right. It's not coming out of some figment of my imagination, though I've gotten out of my body several times. But even in your sleep, you are going to the astral plane. That's where you're going. It's vast. It's vast. It's huge, and it's a spiritual thing. Okay, you go where you need to go. So let's get into it. I don't want to do too much jibber jabber, as my husband would say. I don't want to keep me jibber jabbering. I want to go ahead and get to talking about this astrogeography. This is going to be a short read, okay? Before proceeding to a consideration of the experiences of the newly awakened disembodied soul, we ask you to take a brief glimpse at what may be called geography of the astral plane, that great scene or plane of the activities of the disembodied souls of the race. This is the logical path of approach to the subject. For before we're asked to consider the inhabitants of a new country, we're generally made acquainted with the country itself, its hills and valleys, its rivers and plains, its highlands and lowlands. And using the same figure of speech, let us now take a little lesson in the geography of the astral plane, the place or abode of the disembodied souls. But first, let us again remind you that the astral plane is not a country, it's not a place at all in the usual sense. Its dimensions are not those of space, but of vibration. Just like thoughts are vibrations. So, what does that tell you? If you go back into my playlist on thoughts, if the astral plane is a vibration and not a particular place, then your thoughts determine where you're going to be on the astral plane. In a way, it may be said that the dimensions of the astral plane are the dimensions of time, for vibrations can be measured only by their rate of motion, and that rate is determined only in terms of time. The same is true of all vibrations, whether of astral energy or the lower forms of energy. The vibrations of light are measured in terms of time. That is to say, so many vibrations to the second, and so on. The higher the rate of vibration, the greater the rate of speed manifested in that vibration. The ancient occultists were fond of stating the truth regarding the highest forms of vibration by saying that there that they're a rate of vibration so infinitely rapid that it seems to be absolutely still and motionless. From this extreme, we descend by degrees until the very grossest forms of matter are reached. And there we find a rate of vibration so slow that likewise it seems motionless. A good example in the real world of watching vibration and understanding quick moving, I don't know why my nose is starting, quick moving vibration is to look at a fan. Turn your ceiling fan on and look at it at different speeds. That gives you a good example of vibration. The higher the speed, if you have your fan on high, it spins so fast that you can't make out the blades because it's spinning so fast. That's called high vibration, right? The thought is just going, going, going. But then when you put it on low, you can make out the blades because it's only doing like this. So you can see it. It's a slow, low vibration. All right. That's a good way of giving an example of vibration. It says here, the substance of the astral plane is, of course, very much finer than that of the material plane. Its vibrations very much higher than the finest form of material substance. But there is the widest range between the vibrations of the lowest planes and those of the higher ones. Okay, so think of the fan going on low to high, and those are the different planes in between the low and the high vibration. In fact, the difference between the lowest plane of the astral and the highest plane of the material plane is less than the difference between the lowest and highest of the astral itself. Okay, so that between these two extremes of astral vibrations, we have the same great territory that we would have on the material plane. With this difference, however, that the material territory is measured by space dimensions, while that of the astral is to be measured only in terms of vibration or time and not of space. For instance, when one travels on the material plane, he must traverse space in feet, yards, or miles. That's self-explanatory. But on the astral plane, when one travels, he traverses rates of vibrations. That is to say, he passes from a high rate of vibration to a lower or vice versa. And that's based on your thoughts. If you're thinking high, lofty thoughts, good things, that fan is going high speed. High speed, you go further up. But if you're thinking lower thoughts, negative, evil, you lower vibration, lower speed, right? Which will land you here on the seventh dimension. Using a crude example, we may say that it is somewhat akin to passing from the state of ice to that of water, then of steam. That's another way to look at vibration in material terms. Ice, water, and steam, because water can inhabit all the states, solid, liquid, gases, right? So gases will be considered a high vibration. Ice will be considered very low. And steam would be like in between. Or again, it may be thought of as passing from ordinary atmospheric air to liquid air and then to solid air. The latter is theoretically possible, although science has not yet been able to solidify air. These illustrations are, of course, very crude, but they may help you to understand the geography of the astral plane a little better. Henceforth, we shall speak of travel on the astral plane. That is travel between the different planes and subplanes of the astral as if it were on the material plane. So they're going to break down astral travel, but in a material sense. All right. That is to say, instead of saying that the soul passes from passes from one state of vibration to another, we shall speak of it as proceeding from one subplane to another, in the same terms that we would employ in describing a journey on the material plane. This will simplify matters for us and will obviate a needless repetition of the statement regarding vibrational conditions or states. With this understanding, we shall now proceed. There are many states. There are many states of conditions of existence on the astral plane, which are spoken of as planes and subplanes. These planes and subplanes are inhabited by souls fitted to dwell upon the particular series of planes or subplanes upon which they awaken from the soul slumber. Go back and look at the playlist. I talk about the soul slumber, and you wake up where you're supposed to be, right? There's no mistakes over there in the spirit realm. Says subtle principles of soul attraction draw each soul to the particular place for which it is fitted. The great law of attraction operates unerringly there, meaning the law of attraction operates on the astral plane without error. You never wind up where you're not supposed to be. You only wind up where you belong. So you need to put in that work while you're here in the flesh so that you don't wake up on a coarser seventh level with people who you feel like you don't have anything in common with, but you actually do because you didn't do the self work. You didn't do the shadow work while you were in the body. So it says here, the great law of attraction operates unerringly on the astral plane. There is no chance or haphazard about the mechanism of the law of attraction. The law operates with absolute precision and uniformity. It makes no mistakes. Each soul is restricted in its range by its own inherent limitations and degrees of development. Did you get that? Your soul is restricted by your own limitations and development. Nobody's saying, "Oh, it's not like, you like I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go to a higher level." Well, you can think that if you want to, but if you haven't done the work and your actions have not shown that you're ready, you don't go. Spirit knows when you're ready. All right. Says here, there is no need of astral policemen to keep the disembodied souls in their rightful places. It's impossible for the disembodied soul to travel into places or into planes above its own immediate series. So whatever level you wake up on, you stay on that level. Or you can go down and go back and forth by going down, but you can't go up. But the souls that are higher up than you, they can come down and minister to you, but you can't go up there. It's like a sieve. It's like when you sifting flour. Say you're baking a cake and you sifting the flour, and anything that belongs in that bowl is gonna fall through the sift, right? But anything that's too big, it can't get through that screen. All right, it has to be broken down. Which we ain't gonna go into that because when you higher up, you can fall down. You can, and if when you're lower, you can go up. It's nothing is fixed where like you just stuck in a certain place. It's all about your mindset, right? Okay, I'm going too far with that. I don't want to throw y'all off. So there's no need of policemen on the astral realm to keep people where they belong because that's just how the laws of attraction work, right? All right, it says it's impossible for the disembodied soul to travel into planes above its own immediate series. The law of vibration prevents this. But on the contrary, each and every soul may, if it chooses, freely visit the planes and subplanes beneath its own series and freely witness the scenery and phenomena of those lower planes and mingle with the inhabitants thereof. This entirely apart from the high form of telepathic communication which prevails between disembodied souls on the astral plane. Like I was just saying, you can go down and minister to your loved ones that may pass on and they didn't do the work, and they may be on, say they on the seventh plane and you on the first level, way up there because you did the work and you know that they done passed on. You can come down and minister to them. They'll be happy to see you, and they may say, well, stay. No, you can't stay with them because that ain't your level. You up on another level. You're on a higher level, but you can come down and visit them, but they can't come up to you unless they work their way up there by how they behave and how they think. This is a very wise provision of the law, for were it otherwise, the higher planes would be open to the influence of those dwelling on the lower, and the soul life and development would be interrupted. Just as a classroom in a school of philosophy might be interrupted by a gang of hoodlums from the slums of a large city. For remember, the astral plane has its slums and hoodlums as well as the material plane. You see that? You see how spirit, the creator, has made it where once you put in that work, it's almost like, okay, it's like in a material sense. The people that got money, they in neighborhoods that have security, okay, but They have security to keep the riffraff out. People know that if they're not of a certain level, you can't go in that area. All right. And if you do, you're going to be looked at. Everybody going to be looking at you like, what you doing here? All right. So that in a way enables a feeling of safety for the inhabitants in that area, because they know each other. They know who belongs there. And you're not going to even go there because you know you ain't going to feel comfortable. You don't know nobody there and you ain't got that kind of money. All right. That's on the material plane. But on the astral plane, the way the spirit has it set up is that for those of us that did put in the work down here while we were in the body, that did the shadow work, that developed ourselves spiritually, did all of that while other people was out there partying and bullshitting and doing all the stuff they want to do and didn't put in no work. And then they final destination, they time came. And when they pass, they want to be up there with the good people. They want to be where, they just feel like, they want to be there where the good people are, but they can't go there because they didn't put in the work. So they're going to be around people that got the same mentality as them. Remember? So the good people can come down and minister, but they can't go up with their loved ones that may be on another level. I think I've stressed that enough. I just want to make sure it's understood. Okay, it says in a previous work, we gave a somewhat cruel, but nevertheless a very striking illustration of this matter of the intercommunication between the various planes and subplanes of the astral plane, which we herewith produce as follows. It is absolutely impossible for a soul to go beyond the plane to which it belongs. Although those on the upper planes may freely revisit the lower planes, this being the rule of the astral plane, not an arbitrary law, but a law of nature. This is nature. That's why they say birds of a feather flock together. And I think that is so interesting because I have not yet found my flock, my crew. Every now and then I may run across people who are on a certain level with certain things, but then I'm an eagle. I've already summed it up to me being an eagle, and I'm okay with flying alone. I'm okay solo dolo, because I feel like if I can't interact with people who are like myself, then it's like, no, I'm not going to lower myself, and I can't make myself be interested in something that somebody else is interested in just for the sake of communication. I can roll solo, and people got to get used to doing things like that. When you take in the spiritual path, a spiritual journey, you're going to be alone 9 times out of 10. I mean, you may meet a few acquaintances here and there, but you're going to be solo dolo, and you have to be able to accept that. Religion is like it's for chickens. You know what I'm saying? They all in that buck, 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 buck. They all around there, just nobody's really putting in the work. You know what I'm saying? And we all have to start somewhere. I went through the school of religion too, different chapters of it, different levels of it. But in my mind, I kept saying, there's more. It's got to be more than this. It's got to be. It couldn't be this simple. This the whole story summed up, and that's it. You got to want more. And as you want more and you're on your spiritual journey, you will meet people along the way who you will have things in common with. And then when you outgrow that, guess what? Somebody else comes along. It's just like when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So when you on the spiritual journey, if you're the type of person that got to have a lot of people around you being involved in everything, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. I must say in my spiritual journey, I have had groups of friends in the different places that I lived in, maybe 5 or 6 people. And then when that outgrew its meaning, it was time to move on. When you on the spiritual journey, you got to shake and move. You're not going to be able to just sit where you are. You can't grow if you don't move. You got to move around. All right. It says, if the student will pardon the commonplace comparison, he may get an understanding of it by imagining a large screen or series of screens, such as are used for sorting coal into sizes. I talked about the sieve, but this is showing you how the large coal is caught by the first screen, the next size by the second, and so on until the tiny coal is reached. Now, the large coal cannot get into the receptacle of the smaller sizes, but the small sizes may easily pass through the screen and join the larger sizes if force be imparted to them. All right, let me read that again. I get so caught up talking. It says here, it is absolutely impossible for a soul to go beyond the plane to which it belongs. Although those on the upper planes may freely revisit the lower planes, this being the rule of the astral plane, not an arbitrary law, but a law of nature, if the student will pardon the commonplace comparison, he may get an understanding of it by imagining a large screen or a series of screens, such as are used for sorting coal into different sizes. The large coal is caught by the first screen, the next size by the second, and so on until the tiny coal is reached. Now, the large coal cannot get into the receptacle of the smaller sizes, but the smaller sizes may easily pass through the screen and join the large sizes if force be imparted to them. Just so on the astral plane, the soul with the greatest amount of materiality and coarsest nature, meaning a unrefined nature, they didn't do no work, just wow, is stopped by the screen of a certain grade or plane and cannot pass on to the higher ones, while one which has passed on to the higher planes, having cast off more confining sheaths, layers, can easily pass backward and forward among the lower planes if that soul desires. In fact, souls often do so for the purpose of visiting friends on the lower planes and giving them enjoyment and comfort. And in case of a highly developed soul, much spiritual help may be given in this way by means of advice and instruction when the soul on the lower planes is ready to receive it. Even on the astral plane, y'all, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And you could very well be that teacher for your loved ones, for your mother, for your son, for your daughter, for your ex-lover, when they pass over to the other side. And they may not have done the work, but you left them and you moved on and you did the work. And then now you getting word, oh, such and such just passed over. They just came to the other side. And then you coming on down from your level because you want to greet them and say, hey. And by that time, if they religious or whatever they thought process is and they didn't do the work, they're going to be shocked to see you. And you could let them know, hey, and then they'll say, I remember, because see, the only thing you take with you when you go to your other side, go to the astral plane, is your mental body. That's what goes with you. And so you don't forget stuff. You don't forget. And if it's a loved one or a lover or something like that, they're going to remember you and be like, oh my God, oh wow, and can I go with, no, because you got to do work now. You got to do work over here to earn a castle. You got to put in work. So, but they have to be ready to receive that. If they're not ready, you ain't going to go down there yet. You're going to wait until they're ready to receive it. All right. Says here, in the passage alluded to above, there's the following additional words, which also should be repeated here. For it concerns the geography of the astral plane. We allude to the following. The one exception to the rule of free passage to the planes below that of the particular soul is the one which prevents the lower plane souls from entering the plane of the sleepers. Remember, when you pass on, you go into your slumber, your soul slumber. Nobody can go there. I don't care how high your development, no one can go there. The one exception to the rule of free passage to the planes below that of the particular soul is the one which prevents the lower plane souls from entering the plane of the sleepers, which plane may not be entered by souls which have awakened on the low plane, but which may be freely entered by those pure and exalted souls who have attained a high place. My bad. So the lower level souls cannot go into the soul slumber room, so to speak, on the astral plane. On that vibration, if people are sleeping from passing over, lower souls can't go. And you wouldn't want them to go there. They probably murderers or liars or thieves or something like that. But the higher, more developed souls can go there and check in and look. But those that are low, they can't do it. Says the plane of soul slumber is sacred to those occupying it, and those higher souls just mentioned and it is in fact rather of the nature of a distinct and separate state than one of the great series of planes and subplanes. Isn't that something? So when we, you, me, anybody who's ever living, we leave our bodies and we go to the other side, we'll be in a good place. We'll be in a good state in our soul slumber. We don't have to worry about somebody coming in there and cutting off your so-called life force or doing something to you. Only people that are being loud in there will be the highly evolved souls that did the work. And you know what else is even great? Just you putting in the work on this side in the material. Say like a doctor goes to school for so many years to become a doctor, that don't mean he's more evolved than the bum on the street. It's so fair. I love the way that spirit has this set up, that what you do in this life does determine what happens in the next, but it's all on the spiritual level. It has nothing to do with education over here. It has nothing to do with appearing to be good, but you really full of shit. You know what I'm saying? It only you in the spirit knows if you faced yourself and did the studying and burnt the candle oil and read the books to understand, because we can understand that, right? So this is the last paragraph. It says here, there are many different kinds of regions on the astral plane as there are on the material plane. And we know the earth plane is huge. And I'm a flat earther, by the way. Look up some days in the sky and you're going to see this moon right here. It's going to be out with the sun. My husband called me today like, babe, look outside. I said, I already been out there. I said, the moon. He said, the moon is just as bright. It's just sitting, I said, yeah, which means whoever wrote that book, they told some lies, talking about the sun is the greater light for the day and the moon is the lesser light for the night. Well, the twain were in the sky at the same time. So then if that be the case and the earth is a globe, I guess they in total darkness on the other side, because the moon is sitting up here in the sky at the same time as the sun, right? We need to pay attention to things like this. Says here, there are to be found the abodes of degraded souls, so steeped in materiality and animality that they would be veritable hell to a soul of higher attainment. And that's like that here. You know what I'm saying? You could be around somebody like Diddy. Prime example. Somebody who's highly evolved, like myself. I consider myself highly evolved, and I went through a lot to get here. I would not want to be in the presence of somebody like that. I don't care how much money they got. He's filthy. He's garbage. Raping children, abusing men and women. That is hell to be in the vicinity of somebody like that. It's hell to be in the vicinity of a pope who we know raped little boys, or a nun who takes advantage of little girls, or the Dalai Lama who's doing all kind of sick stuff but pretending like he's righteous. That is hell. And those people are not getting away with anything. When they leave their bodies, remember, they're going to be where they're supposed to be. And not by what we think it looks like, but by what it really is. Ain't no deception on the astral plane. Oh, no. You really going to face yourself over there. It may well be imagined that the soul of higher impulses has no desire to travel into these depths of the astral, unless indeed it may be some very highly developed soul which is willing to descend into hell in order to minister to the needs of some lower soul which is striving to emerge from the slough of despond into which its earth life has thrown it. So basically, a more highly evolved soul ain't gonna want to go to no lower planes. They're gonna be like, I ain't going down there. I want to go in that filth. These people, whoever came over here or died or whatever, they didn't do the work, and I don't want to do it. You don't have to do what you don't want to do. But there are some people that do want to do it. And I think I'll be one of those people. I would like to be there to help those who have just passed over and don't understand what's happening. I would like to be there to help those who are trying to shake out of the despair of what we call death, and they don't know what's going on, and they want answers, and they want to understand. I wouldn't mind being one of those higher souls to come down and help with that. But that is like a ministry and a calling. Every soul that goes over that have done the work, they don't want to do that. They just want to study, and ain't nothing wrong with that. All right. There's nothing wrong with that. Says here, such ministering spirits do exist. okay, and perform this work for their lower brothers and sisters, because we're all spirit beings having a human experience. So being a helper, there's nothing wrong with it. But as a rule, the disembodied souls prefers to work out its own evolution on its own plane, that it may ascend to the higher grades of spiritual opportunity in its next incarnation, and that it may acquire spiritual knowledge during its sojourn on its particular plane of the astral. Okay? So that's the end of that chapter. Astral plane geography. So now you know what the astral plane looks like. All right? It's not a place in particular, it's a vibration. And what determines where you land on the astral plane is what your thought process is, not just when you die, but in general, how you lived your life. And you can figure that out right now. You know, are you the type of person that's honest? Are you forthcoming? Are you kind? Are you peaceful? Are you loving? Or are you exemplifying the works of the flesh or the works of the spirit? Are you a narcissist? Are you angry all the time, irritated all the time, negative? Then you know where you're going to wind up at, right? If you don't stop being like that, if you don't stop thinking like that, you've got to control your thoughts. Go and look at my playlist on thoughts, and we're all uh, privy to behaving in a certain way and thinking certain thoughts. Nobody's perfect all the time. I do it too. Sometimes you'll have a negative thought here and there. But the thing is to nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud. That is a spirit. You ain't never seen a thought, but you can hear it and you think it, right? You can't allow it to take on a life. The way you cause a thought to take on a life is the emotion that you put behind it. The energy in motion is emotion. So if you angry about something and you allow all that energy to gather around it, you just created a thought form. And that thing takes on a life, and it will keep messing with you, keep messing. You ever had a thought that you're just like, why can't stop thinking about this? Why am I so bothered by this? Why am I? Because you put too much energy into it. So thereby, that gives you an idea as to where you're going to wind up at when you leave your body. Okay? That you create a heaven or hell for yourself by the way you think. And the results of your thoughts show up in your physical life, and it shows up in the astral realm. So, on that note, it's been a while, and yeah, I cut my hair and I just love it so much. I don't have all those locks anymore, but it's been a while. I'm back on it. I'm back, y'all. I'm back. So, this is your girl, Unique Air, once and again. And thank you for joining me, your death doula. There is no death. It's life after life after life. And we talking principles that's going to help you in this life and the next. And until next time, I bid you guys adieu. And I will definitely see you on the next one. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time this recording finds you in. Peace.